KSI and Logan Paul's Prime drink has officially failed. In 2023, Prime was unavoidable. It wasn't just a drink, it was a cultural moment. Reported sales crossed $1 billion, bottles sold out within minutes, kids begged their parents for it, and parents were physically fighting in supermarkets over hydration bottles. Prime was everywhere, from UFC and WWE sponsorships to Barcelona, Arsenal, and Bayern Munich. Logan Paul and KSI didn't just launch a beverage, they launched what looked like the most successul creator product of all time, and for a while, it worked perfectly.
Oh, that's fantastic. Really.
That is really good.
I do feel energized already.
Have energy?
Sure.
And be honest too, if you don't like it, you can tell me.
That's good.
You like it?
That's good. That's really good.
But fast forward less than 2 years and those same Prime bottles were sitting untouched on store shelves, some ending up in clearance bins, others dropping below $1, and suddenly nobody was fighting over Prime anymore. So what happened? Because this wasn't just hype dying down, this was a collapse, and it didn't start with a drink, it started with Logan Paul. Right as Prime hit its absolute peak, Logan Paul's CryptoZoo scandal exploded, with investigations revealing missing developers, broken promises, and fans losing tens of thousands of dollars. People who trusted Logan were left with worthless NFTs and a game that never even worked, and instead of immediately taking accountability, Logan sued the investigator who exposed it, a decision that mattered far more than people realize. Overnight, the conversation changed. Parents stopped asking what electrolytes were in Prime and started asking whether one of the founders was a scammer, and that single moment cracked the brand's trust, because once trust breaks, everything else starts falling apart. Then the government stepped in. In 2023, a US senator publicly demanded that the FDA investigate Prime Energy for marketing a drink with nearly double the caffeine of Red Bull to children, and schools began banning it. Teachers didn't want kids showing up jittery to class and unable to sit still. Some schools confiscated cans, and others sent letters home to parents. Prime went from being cool to being dangerous, and once a product is labeled dangerous to kids, it's basically over.
Brother, his friends, everybody at school's looking for it.
Miami State School on the Gold Coast now banning Prime energy drink.
I think it's absolutely fair enough. I actually didn't realise there were energy drinks.
At the same time, nutritionists started tearing into the product. They called the hydration formula overhyped, questioned the electrolyte claims, and said the drink was mostly marketing. Even Gordon Ramsay jumped in, saying it tasted like perfume. That's when sales quietly started slowing.
What is that flavour you got there?
Tropical punch, it says.
Oh, Jesus.
Loosely. You've just come from the Maldives.
It's like swallowing perfume. What is that?
Prime sells itself on three things: its taste, its low sugar content, and its electrolyte composition, a formula the brand claims is designed to help athletes handle high-intensity workouts. But fitness and health YouTuber More Plates More Dates wasn't buying it. In his breakdown, he questioned whether Prime's electrolyte profile was actually sufficient for real athletic performance, pointing out that compared to established sports drinks, the formula was underdosed and relied far more on branding than science. In other words, Prime looked like a performance drink, but functioned more like a marketing product.
But it's not the electrolyte formula for athletes. This is not focused for athletes and designed for athletes whatsoever, with 40 milligrams of sodium.
And when a brand built entirely on hype slows down, panic sets in. So Logan Paul and KSI tried to pivot. They launched Lunchly, a kid-focused lunch kit collaboration with mrbeast. The idea was simple: rebrand from energy drink controversies to family-friendly food product. Logan Paul claimed Lunchly was a healthier alternative to Lunchables, a better option for kids that was more balanced and more responsible, but that claim didn't survive scrutiny. Dr. Mike, a YouTuber known for creating medical education content, uploaded a breakdown comparing the nutritional value of Lunchly and Lunchables.
However, it's been known, especially by experts, that while these kits are fun and tasty, their nutritional value is just not good. They're often too high in sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars, and don't use healthy whole food ingredients. And because they fall into the category of ultra-processed foods, they aren't healthy to consume often, period.
He explained that according to FDA guidelines, children in K-8 grade levels should receive about 625 calories per lunch, with less than 10% of those calories coming from added sugars and less than 10% from saturated fat. When he compared both products to that standard, the results weren't impressive, because both Lunchly and Lunchables were heavily processed, high in sodium, low in fiber, and failed to meet the nutritional needs of growing children. In other words, Lunchly wasn't a healthier alternative, it was the same problem repackaged with better marketing, and instead of fixing Prime's image, the rebrand only reinforced the criticism that creators were selling junk food to kids while calling it healthy.
Flavorful combos versus standard picks? The meal kit combos are nearly identical to Lunchables. Big gestures versus mid moments? I certainly don't remember that lesson in my nutrition classes.
When he compared both products to that standard, the results weren't impressive, because both Lunchly and Lunchables were heavily processed, high in sodium, low in fiber, and failed to meet the nutritional needs of growing children, which meant Lunchly wasn't actually a healthier alternative at all. It was the same problem repackaged with better marketing, and instead of fixing Prime's image, the rebrand only reinforced the criticism that creators were selling junk food to kids while calling it healthy.
Higher amounts of A and B vitamins, which can be good, but also can be problematic as vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, and kids can easily overconsume it, leading to toxicity. Lunchly does not need to be perfect to be valuable for kids. It just needs to be significantly healthier in order to reduce risk.
Creators immediately pushed back. YouTubers like DanTDM accused Logan Paul and KSI of exploiting children by marketing another low-quality food product to kids. KSI responded with a video of his own, arguing that DanTDM also sold toys to children, suggesting the criticism was hypocritical.
Showing his toys that he sold to kids. How does this benefit your fans, Dan?
But that response only poured fuel on the fire, because the issue was never about selling to kids, it was about selling unhealthy food to kids while calling it a better option. And then the worst possible thing happened when people began posting videos showing mold inside Lunchly boxes, mold in food that was marketed to children.
This is molded. That's mold. This is not safe. Especially like kids that are so young, they may not know what mold looks like, so they might just eat it.
At that point, the damage wasn't theoretical anymore, it was physical, because parents didn't trust the brand, schools didn't want it near kids, and critics smelled blood. By 2024, lawsuits started piling up, with suppliers suing Prime for millions, allegations about forever chemicals in certain flavors, and even the Olympics accusing Prime of illegal branding. And while all of this was happening publicly, something worse was happening quietly. Prime stopped selling out. Stores that once limited customers to 1 bottle per person now couldn't move inventory. Shelves stayed full. Discounts appeared, then clearance tags dropped from 50 cents to 25 for a drink that once caused supermarket chaos. Here's the uncomfortable truth: Prime didn't die because the hype faded. Hype always fades. Prime died because the foundation collapsed. It relied too heavily on controversy-driven founders, marketed aggressively to children, and burned trust faster than it could replace it. Even KSI started distancing himself, with less promotion, less hype, and more silence, because once a brand becomes a liability, everyone involved starts backing away. So the real question isn't whether Prime can make a comeback, it's whether Prime was ever a real product or just a trend designed to explode fast and burn out just as quickly. History shows us one thing: brands built on hype don't usually fall slowly, they collapse.
Drip versus stick. I like my cheese drippy, bruh. This is a Lunchly salsa right here. Look at the consistency, the texture. And this is Lunchables. Look, it's watery. I can't even look at that.